I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:39. Let the minutes reflect that everyone's here but Board Member Baldacci. And that brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, I'll hold up the flag.
All right, there's the flag. All right, let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We met in closed session tonight. No action was taken. Brings us to superintendent's comments.
Let me see here. Yeah, we have some busy times going. Let's see. Well, we've started our first week of in-person instruction for our TK3 classes, and I'm proud to say that it's gone off extremely well. To see the kids come back and experience a real first day of school in class was absolutely magical. We were able to do it while preserving many of the kids' schedules, which I think is a tremendous feat. I want to thank our parent community and staff for filling out the surveys. Ms. Polk, I want to thank you for your help in scheduling. I just want to acknowledge our little TKers. The ones from Nights in School had to switch over to Old River in order to make this happen. They took the brunt of the schedule changes, but I don't think that they missed a beat any bit at all. You know, Ms. Knott's doing a great job over there. We had a couple of students that have had to come over to Nights in School from Old River. And it's just the part of coming back. We always knew that was going to happen, but it didn't happen at the level that we once expected. I think we got a good blend of those kids who are on distance learning and wanted to stay at home for whatever reason. To the extent possible, we have teachers teaching solely on distance learning and solely in person. So some teachers will have an AM cohort in person and then a PM cohort online. Other teachers have an AM and a PM in person. So we're able to distribute that really well. And it's been a long road this year to get our kids back, and I'm really glad I'm proud to say that we got our TK3s back, and I'm really looking forward to getting our grades 4 to 8 back here. Solar project, we had a year off and everything's been delayed, and now we get kids back, and that solar project's going to start up. So we may have to do some shuffling around over here at Nights in School because we're having the solar panels in the back parent pickup loop. We may have to start utilizing the bus loop for pickup. Had some email correspondence with Del Sol Solar. They're going to drop off a couple of Connex shipping containers full of equipment and tools in order to begin the process of installing solar. So we're excited to get that going as well. And I hope I'm not stealing any thunder, but we finished up our employees of the year. So let me see here. I'm going to try to do this and not mess anything up. Let me see. Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm having technical difficulty. Something's been going on with our, I don't want to say our internet, but it's been a funky night with with everything going on. Here we go. Got it. So I would like to congratulate. Let me know when you can see the presentation. There we go. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Miss Veronica Ochoa as our CSEA Employee of the Year. She's our school secretary at Nights in School. She's our first point of contact. Anytime you come into the office, you're going to see Miss Ochoa sitting there. She's always a smiling face, willing to help. I rely on her extensively as both the principal and the superintendent. Absolutely love working with Miss Ochoa. She's so deserving. She's been recognized by her peers for her exemplary service, and I think anybody who's relied on Miss Ochoa or has had the opportunity to get to know her, that she's a fantastic person all the way around. And I'm proud to have her represent Knights in School and being that first point of contact. Our kids and our families are in good hands with Miss Ochoa. And then we have Miss Lunchel. She's our science and educational technology teacher. She's been behind the scenes on a lot of what's gone on with our distance learning. We've relied on the County Office of Ed for their help with getting the platforms ready. But Miss Lunchel's kind of been that silent trooper in the back, making sure all of our students are able to get online and all the rosters are correct and SchoolWise is running. So there's so many things in the background that Miss Lunchel has helped us do. And we want to recognize her for that. And on top of that, she's been the one of the two teachers that have been solely online this year. She's been very flexible to work in between both schools, teaching 4, 5, and 6 grade science. So she's an Old River teacher this year virtually. I think the kids are really, loving Miss Lunchel. She's very dynamic. She helped us implement STEM Scopes, the new curriculum, which is solely online. And thank goodness we adopted that one. We didn't know that we were going to need it to this level when we adopted it, but good choice. And then also, last but not least, I'd like to recognize Old River Certificated Employee of the Year, Miss Ann Ajamora. She's a longtime teacher in the district. She is a leader on the campus. I rely on her as union president for the Old River teachers and talk with her all the time. She's been a huge driving force in us being able to negotiate a successful MOU with our teachers and making sure that she's representing their needs well. Always love working with Miss Ajamora. She's always prepared, always on time, and just an exemplary employee. And she does LPAC, so she sets up the testing every year and does that. And she bakes one of the best chocolate chip cookies you will ever have. And believe me, I've had some chocolate chip cookies.
Yes, she does.
And she won't get off the recipe either. I've tried bribing, but we're proud to recognize Miss Ajamora for her hard work. Been very flexible this year in terms of trying new things, embracing technology, and we want to congratulate her as Teacher of the Year for Old River Elementary. So the next step is that after spring break, we will come together with a team and we'll go through and evaluate both teachers on the job that they do, and we can move one of our teachers forward for county consideration. And then the county will come in to possibly move them forward for county consideration. But again, I want to congratulate Miss Lunchel and Miss Ajamora for all their work in making our district awesome. You see here.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'll have a piece of leftover birthday cake for all three of them to celebrate when I get off the meeting. So did that pretty much cover your principal's comments as well, or do you have principal's comments?
Well, I just being back in school has been a welcome change. It's been a long time coming, and I can't wait to get more kids on campus. And I know our grades 4 through 8, they've been bringing in more kids with learning loss. That's been helping us test our systems to make sure that we're up and ready to go. I really, hope the weather continues to cooperate, and the solar project's going to be more impactful here at Knightson because of where the panels are going than where they are over at Old River. So we're going to have to be flexible in terms of, where we're dropping off and picking up students, but our families and staff have been great. I think this has been a year to test our flexibility, and we're going to continue to do that over here at Knightson School.
Great. All right, Ms. Polk, you're up.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Yurkovich. Like Mr. Yurkovich said, having kids back on campus has been amazing. And I feel like every day this week, we've probably corresponded about all of the neat things that kids are doing and teachers are doing, and just the little nuances that you don't realize you miss without them being gone for almost a year. So it's been great being able to have the ability to not be in front of a computer and to go class to class and see the kids and meet kids. Obviously, being the new administrator, it's been great meeting our families. So I really just want to give a shout out to all of our staff that have been part of it and all of our parents who've helped to really make it probably as stable as we can given the circumstances. So just like Mr. Yurkovich said, really looking forward to continuing to bring more students back.
Awesome. All right, we bring to correspondence. And I have listed, I can't see anything.
I can speak to it as a correspondence.
Okay.
We recently had a couple of articles that came out with regards to the reopening. And the first one was in the Contra Costa Times between the Knightson Elementary School District and the Byron Union School District. We're the first ones to really reopen in a hybrid model out here in the Far East County. And so we wanted to add that into correspondence to really celebrate the hard work that our staff has done, because we're proud and we're stand by it. And we want to thank the families for their cooperation and their understanding that some kids may have had to move schedules. They had to take another survey. I know we've surveyed a lot, but we wanted to get the freshest information and the most relevant data to bring kids back the most effective way. So the Contra Costa Times did a great story, and so did the Brentwood Press. In the Contra Costa Times, it was more about Byron's reopening, but Knightson got the picture, and that was Miss Braceland's class. So I thought that was good. But we got some kudos in there, and then the Brentwood Press did a really good article on our district as well. So I wanted to commemorate it by putting it into correspondence, because of the hard work and where we're at. You know, this is the first step to returning to normal. And, you know, it's scary, it's exciting, but hey, I'm welcoming it. I'll be grateful to throw this mask away one day. Never have to wear it again. Yeah.
And we have a letter from the Contra Costa Office of Education on the audit. I'm only going to read the bottom that says, congratulations, your district did not have any of the above mentioned audit findings and no further action is required. Yay!
So through this pandemic, and that, you know, comes down to our office secretaries, our business office, our district office, through this whole pandemic, we've had to weather the storm, make adjustments, but all the reporting that goes on for a district still takes place. And so to come in and have an audit and have zero findings is just incredible. You know, you figure you're going to drop a ball somewhere, and we still haven't found it yet. So good job, Ms. Friedman, and good job, support staff out there for the Knightson School District. You know, to have an audit with zero findings in this environment is truly a great feat.
Yep. Thank you. Board member comments. Let's start with Board member Pastor. Any comments?
No comments.
Board member Pagani.
Just kudos and shout outs to all of the staff and our superintendent, principal, everybody working behind the scenes. I think everyone's done a phenomenal job and we're on the right track. So excited to get all of our kids back in after spring break. I'm very proud to be part of this community and represent our district, and I'm just elated that we're getting everybody back in the seat after close to a year. So excited for what's to come here.
Yeah. Board member Gold.
I also want to thank and congratulate every single teacher, staff member, principal, every single worker at Old River and Knightson School for all the work. All I do is hear great things. it's so wonderful that you have the students back. So congratulations on that. The newspaper article was a hit. And I also do want to congratulate Cindy Friedman, because I don't think I've ever worked in a school district where there weren't any audit findings. So that's amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. And no comment from me, just agreed. The approval of the February 24th minutes. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 24th.
I'll second that.
Was that Robin?
Yes, I'll second that.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
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 4 ayes, 1 absent. All right. Do we have a parent-teacher club report?
I did not receive one from our KPTC Parents Club. They are gearing up to start having meetings. I offered to allow them to schedule one using our Google platform and getting online. Also had communication with one of our Parents Club members that we're going to receive the memorial benches for former Superintendent Teresa Estrada.
Oh, nice.
We're going to bring them into our transportation area for right now. And then, after the weather calms down and we get the proper hardware to mount them, we'll mount the benches out in front of the school and in memorial of former Superintendent Estrada.
Nice. Good. And what about Old River Parent Club? Any report from them?
I didn't get a report. Yesterday we did have a meeting, and they're going through the process of elections and ballots and nominees, and working on potential end of the year fundraisers and finishing up any outstanding projects.
All right. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. Anybody have any questions or want to pull anything out of there or make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 4 ayes and 1 absent. All right, do we have any public input? Ms. Bowden, do we have any public input?
We do not have any for this evening.
All right, thank you. Which brings us to our first board agenda item, the 2020-2021 second interim report. That means Cindy's up. Your microphone's off.
I apologize. My computer is doing something very strange that it's never worked. Imagine that. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, so presenting the second interim, this is a financial check of where we are as a district at this time with our projected budget. It actually contains February numbers, but the beginning operated budget is through January 31st. So our actuals to date will show some of the February spending. These are some of our reporting periods. Our budget for the second interim is a positive certification. as we all recognize, the budget for a school district is constantly evolving and changing. So there's information as best as I could get it into this second interim. I don't have the governor's recent proposal because he increased the amount of state money for opening early, which we will qualify for that. So that's excellent news, but that revenue is not in. So our projected budget, when we started off the year, we thought we were going to be lower in our student counts. So we had ourselves set at 4.9 million in LCFF sources, which is the calculator that the state provides to, well, it's actually through a financial crisis management team put together this local control funding formula calculator where the state it helps us calculate how much our funding is going to be from the state. So at the time, we didn't have all of our inter-district transfers, and because we're a heavy inter-district transfer district, we didn't count on every student because we didn't have paperwork from them at the time. So when our budget projections came through, I think we were counting on 585 students or something like that. Then we found out that our revenue was actually going to be based off of the 2019-20 school year numbers because of the COVID response. So that increased our projected LCFF funds, the majority of our revenue, to $5.3 million. So that's a difference of $381,000. And then our federal dollars is the first stimulus package from the federal government, which is $383,000. The second package that went through in December, I don't have those numbers in here either because they haven't solidified yet. It's kind of was a strange transition from one administration to another, and some of the information that we would normally get was not very timely. Our state revenues, like I said, we don't have Governor Newsom's increase for the learning loss mitigation and the extension of the school year having in-person learning in here, so that the revenue numbers will go up. But those revenue numbers increasing, there will also be expenses for PPE, hand sanitizer, masks, for potentially having summer school, all of those sort of things. So those expenses also are not calculated in the expenditures. So we had an increase of $37,000 for our certificated salaries. I expect that actually again, because when we first started this journey, we weren't sure if we were going to have school, and we have to have budget set aside for substitute employees to come in when our staff is sick or unable to work, or has self-development, or has some sort of a training that they need to go to in another district, or mentoring another teacher. So we have money set aside for substitutes, and those I have not returned all of that budget into our ending fund balance, our savings for the end of the year, because we're back in school now. So we don't know if we're going to need substitutes. We don't know if we are going to have some sort of a COVID exposure that's going to cause us to have some sort of a change. So I haven't drawn back those substitute costs for classified or certificated employees. So I foresee that we will see a savings in those two areas, including the employee benefits, because the employer costs will also go down. And we'll end up in the ending fund balance, our reserves or our one-time dollars that we didn't spend. But as you can see, our books and supplies went up drastically by $423,760, and that was because we purchased all of the equipment for families to be able to get online with their teachers. We had Chromebooks and all of those kinds of coming through. And then our services and other operating expenses, an increase of $204,000, and that is all of the books and supplies and basically getting prepared to have distance learning through subscriptions in order to cover the costs for that. Our indirect direct support costs that was $60,000 went to $110,000. That's an increase of $50,000. That $50,000 increase is a contribution to the cafeteria fund, because at the beginning of the school year, we didn't have any money coming in. We weren't doing the Seamless Summer Program. We had no revenues, but we had all the expenditures of having, employee salaries and maintaining 2 kitchens. And so we had to do a contribution. I foresee that by the end of the year, this $50,000 additional contribution should go down, leaving more money in the ending fund balance. And that is credited to the work that the cafeteria staff are doing with the Seamless Summer, providing food to our families in our community. We get reimbursable meals when we give our families meals for breakfast and lunch. And so they've been doing a great job getting meals passed out to our families. And if there's anybody listening who, has kids in the nights, and it doesn't even have to be nights in school district. It can be Liberty students or kids that are just in our area visiting. All we need is their name and what school they go to or age. If they're not a school age student, they can get meals from age 0 to 18. So it's a fantastic program for our older kids who were nights and students who have gone to Liberty but don't have means to drive to Liberty to get their meals. So it's very good for our kids in our community. Our ending fund balance. So you'll see our original budget showed 1.6 million, that we would have 1.6 million. At this point, we're at $2.3 million. And that is because we've received a lot of revenue that we haven't expended completely yet. We haven't bought everything that we will eventually purchase. Some of the federal dollars don't have to be spent until the end of 2022. And so we're trying to hang on to some of those dollars to make sure that we have the funds available to get PPE or get new technology for students that need stuff when they come back to school. We just don't know what that's going to look like. So that is where we're at. Our projected budget, we are overspending the amount of revenue that we receive by $224,000, $224,156. But like I said, we're going to have revenue coming in that will change that. Our indirect cost is going to reduce. So I have a feeling that this deficit number will be much lower by the end of the year. So in the end here, these are our reserves. We have a $2,000 revolving cash account where if we need to make a payment quickly, we can make a check out of that account. Our restricted balances right now is $348,000. A big chunk of that is special education. We have our stabilization. We're meeting the stabilization arrangement, which is 2 months worth of payroll at $400. We have $96,000 set aside for our retirees who are receiving a contribution towards their medical benefits. It increases every year by 5%. And so We set I just put $1,000 into that each year, so that way we don't ever get caught without having the money to pay for those benefits. Our assigned dollars, $567,465, and then reserved for economic uncertainties. That's our 4% reserve, which is required by the state government, and we're making that. Our unassigned, unappropriated dollars that is left over after everything has been earmarked is $36,463. I can tell you this is the first time that I've been in the district where we've actually had a number down here. So it's amazing to me because we've been trying to do a lot with a little, and we've done a lot, and we actually have leftovers. So that's a good thing. Here is our multi-year projection, and it basically is going over the same sort of information that I just shared with you as far as the change, but this is current budget information. And it shows year over year our revenue. So I just want to show going year over year in our revenue. This year we're at 7 million, but next year we're at 6.5, and then we go to 6.7. So because I'm foreseeing a drop of $428,000 in CARES funding in next year, it just goes to show that some of this stuff, some of the spending is one-time money for sure, and we're not going to have it to spend on, salaries and things like that. But we did have good news. The governor actually, when we went to our January governor's budget, he brought back in the COLA. We did not get a cost of living adjustment for salary increases for the 2021 school year. Unfortunately, that was taken away because we did not know what the future was to be held with the personal income tax. Personal income tax didn't get collected until July of 2020. So there was no way to project out how much money was going to be coming to the schools. So the governor did reinstate the cost of living adjustment. He just added it into the 21-22 school year. So in the 21-22 school year, we're actually going to get a 3.84% cost of living adjustment. So that's very helpful for us, as we go along. Our allocated salaries each year, right now we're at 2.7. Each year, this number grows because we have step and column movements. So we figure that there's about $53,000, $54,000 in salary in the step and column increases. And we do have an early retirement plan incentive that we had put forth, and we have one teacher that has taken us up on that, which is great. I'm jealous of her. And then in the next year, I mean, you can just see the 45,000. Now it's 45,000. It's going up. So now we're talking $55,000, 60. It just continues to go up each year for our certificated and our classified employees. Though the classified employees is a smaller unit, and the classified employees don't have salary step increases after 5 steps, but they do have longevity percentages that come around as they are with the district for a while. And so I figured these numbers at 2%, basically year over year. That's about what we're seeing as far as the increase of the step increases for employees, or range increases for our classified employees. Excuse me. So, and then the big thing is always the STRS and PERS for the employer costs. We haven't had a change to our medical benefits as far as the employer portion. We haven't had a change to our FICA and Medicare, but we have certainly seen a big increase in the STRS and PERS through the Pension Reform Act. And that is just continuing to happen. The governor did change the STRS percentage this year at his budget meeting in January. So that has been taken into account in the multi-year projection. It's decreased slightly. So we're going from $613,000 spending in books and supplies this year down to $221,000. We're going to get reasonable again because the federal money should be spent up, and in the 21-22 school year, if we are able to come back full time, that would be great. And so we figure that the CARES spending plan money will be gone, and we won't expend that again, obviously. And so year over year, it goes up slightly because of the consumer price index. And, we don't know what inflation is going to happen, but they give us some numbers, and I plug those in to make sure that we take that into account. Services and other operating budgets. So this $1.3 million is not only for goods services from, like repairing your equipment or repairing Chromebooks or any of that. It's also for our speech language pathologists. People, if we could hire people in the positions, then they would go from being a service company that we pay to provide a service to being our employees, and it would increase our salary and benefit costs, but they would be our employees. So, there's been a lot of changes in the maintenance and operations. We did do a lot of outside companies coming in and working on our, fields or the irrigation systems or the Henson's plumbing, or, now with the help of our maintenance and operations lead, we don't have to always call out a professional service company. They are able to fix it in-house with our own staff. So it's a very good move for us, and it's helped, keep our costs down. And then again, we have the CARES money, not expecting to spend that kind of money next year, so it'll go down to $1.1 million. We have a special ed services student that's being provided services from Brentwood Elementary, so that student is going into the 8th grade, and so we'll see a savings there as far as that student not or going on to high school. This capital outlay, this $180,000 in the year 21-22, that is the bus that we're working on getting to purchase. You guys did the board voted on a resolution last meeting, and we're working with our legal department to make sure that we buy the bus in the proper manner, and we're cooking with gas on that. So these other outgoes, this again is the contribution to the cafeteria fund. So this kind of gives the same numbers that I went over earlier, but it gives you a little bit more information on the reserves was at $348,000, but the $785,400 is the 2 months of payroll. We have that big number of expended money, that the assigned money is made up of $180,000 for the bus. We have $22,000 in deferred maintenance, which is emergency use. When we did the flood and we had to fix, get things taken care of there, we used those dollars, and then I put money back into it to make sure that we could get started with the mitigation and all of that right away. Our MA is a Medi-Cal. money that comes in, and that pays for our nurse. I have $55,000 set aside in technology reserves, and I'm actually trying to grow that by $20,000 each year, because we bought all of these Chromebooks and devices, cameras, dock cameras, laptops. We increased our server capabilities, but we have to maintain that. So, you don't just buy technology one year and then you just don't put any more back into it. So we have to come up with a good replacement plan, or a phasing out of old equipment and buying new. So our mandated cost reserves, $10,000, that is for any of the state mandates that come down our way, and I just kind of hang on to that money in case it's necessary for something. Our lottery reserve, $65,000, and then it's decreasing over the years, so 65 to 60 to 50 in the 2 out years. And then this hold harmless money, that is for our declining enrollment, because the state told us, okay, we're going to fund you at the 2019 numbers that you ended with. Well, we don't have those numbers this year, and we don't know what they're going to be next year. So I'm trying to make sure we keep that money set aside so that we can not fall flat on our face if something happens and our in-district transfers don't come back as heavy as they have been in the past. This provides us a little bit of a cushion so that we don't just end up falling off a cliff, in the out years. And then the 4% is sitting there, like I said, and this $36,000, the unassigned, unappropriated, that, like I said, was something that this is the first time that's happened for me here. And then in the next year, we have 98,000. And then in the next year, 61. So what this is telling me is that in these, because there's money continuing in the out years, there's a portion of that is an ongoing revenue or a any fund balance, because it's repeating each year. So that's good to know. Like I said, our cost of living adjustment in the 21-22 school year is 3.84%. That was zero the last time I came to you at the first interim. The 22-23 school year was also zero, and that's up to 2.98. And that is what's making this huge difference in these out years, because we actually have a cost of living increase adjustment. The other thing that helped us is our unduplicated student count. We made a huge push to contact our families and try and get all of our families who are experiencing economic insecurities at this time. We made a huge push to call them and connect with them to get to make sure they get counted in our unduplicated student count, because if they qualify under a low income or any of the socioeconomic disadvantaged factors, then we get more funding from the state. And so it's very important that we try and identify people as they need to be, so that we can provide programs and services for them. This is the local control funding formula, which I kind of went over, but the interesting thing for me in this, after having been here for 7 years now, is the property tax rate. It's going up. It was like 1.83% or 1.83 million or something around that number when I first came here. And now we're at 2.8, which is huge. But and I think it's because property is changing hands. And so when the property is changing hands, it's getting sold for more. It's getting evaluated at a higher dollar figure. And so it's increasing our property tax. It doesn't mean we get more money from the state, but it means that we we don't have to depend on the state aid, this 8011 state aid number. When your property tax goes up, this state aid number goes down. So you always end up with the same amount in the end. The best part about that, though, is the property taxes. The state cannot do they can't defer it. It comes to us. They can't defer that revenue to us. And so that's a good thing. The more property tax dollars we have versus state aid, the better off we are. Our projected number is $582.78 for this year. And that is basically the same funding that we had in the 1920 school year. And then on the 21-22, 22-23, I kept the numbers at 608 with students. It says 612, but it should be 608. I apologize for that. But I kept it at 608 because that number matches what we have in the 2021 school year. So it's going to, I feel it's going to stay the same, but I don't know if it's going to go up. So I'm not planning on increasing that number just because we don't want to get caught with it going downward. So what is on the horizon? Harvey's working on development along with all the rest of his humongous list that he's got going on. I'll be starting my budget developments here pretty quick. That'll be at the county office. I go over there. Well, now I'll do a meeting like this. I don't have to actually drive there. But, we get together and we all work on budget development to make sure that we're capturing everything. Well, Harvey and I, and probably Veronica, and hopefully some members of CSEA and ATA will go to the governor's May revise. We have a watch party in room 8, so if you're interested in coming and watching, you're welcome to come on down. We had our kindergarten registration, and that's ongoing at this time. I'm not sure where the numbers ended up with that, but
ask.
And then in May and June, we'll adopt the LCAP, the local control accountability plan. And then we'll also adopt in June, we'll adopt the 21-22 school year budget. And that's what we have. Does anybody have any questions?
None from me.
All right. It's all very good news.
Yep.
You know, we have to continue on our path. We have to continue on our path. I think we're doing a really, really good job of being fiscally responsible.
All right. Do we have approval for the 2020-2021 second interim report?
Hey, Liesl,
Yep.
it's Tom. Just wanted to let you know that I came in at 7:04 this evening, and I was able to hear all of Cindy's presentation.
All right.
So, Trustee
Tammy, do you want to make a motion?
we have that documented.
Approval of this. Thank you, Harvey.
All right. We have a motion from Tom. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Well, everybody seconded. Well, we got a second from either Debbie or Robin. Either one. All right. Now we'll take a vote. All in favor, aye.
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 Hi.
5 ayes. That motion passes. Now we have an update to the return to school proposal.
So, you know, one of the things that we've been really fortunate about is our staff and community understanding the need to be flexible. Some of those school districts that set a course of distance learning for a year back in the fall are probably reevaluating that plan right now. It was unforeseeable. It probably seemed like the right move at the time for those districts. I was kind of leaning the other way of I'd rather be looked at as somebody who's making a move that fits the moment, but planning ahead. And so we've changed our start date several times and our proposal several times. And I've tried to be very clear with staff and community that we'll continue to evolve until it's right. During our last board meeting, we were talking about a 2-week mitigation period when the numbers were still somewhat high, but reducing. We didn't know how fast they were going to come down. So the 2-week mitigation period sounded like the right thing to do at the time. But as we're approaching our spring break and we're looking and this virus is virtually drying up right before our eyes, I feel it's appropriate to make a change. I mean, when we get to this point of the school year, every day counts. And with the prevalence of the vaccine increasing and our staff members having the opportunity to be vaccinated, some of the changes in the CDC guidelines and some of the changes coming down from the governor's office, I want to highlight a few things here. That last week, Governor Newsom in his update changed the target again. And so he moved the target from being in red, which is we used to have to be in under 7 per 100,000 in our county for 2 consecutive weeks. Well, that metric has now changed because we understand that in some of our hardest hit communities, the spread is more prevalent than more affluent communities. So if you can see the chart here, this is taken from the California Department of Public Health. The HPI quartile 1, these are hardest hit communities. And what Governor Newsom said is once we reach 2,000 vaccinations within this HPI quartile 1, California will retroactively be able to go in red so as long as they're under 10 per 100,000. So that changes the metric from 7 per 100,000 to 10 per 100,000. Once we reach 2 million. And I'll tell you, I've been watching this daily since he said that. This morning, we were just over 800,000. By the end of the school day, we're at, 1,800,000. By the end of the school day today, we're at 1,926,000. We're probably going to reach the 2 million mark by tomorrow. So within 48 hours of tomorrow, as long as we stay with under the 10 per 100,000, we'll be in red. And right now, if you look down here, the adjusted rate is the one that we look at. We're at 7.3 with a positivity rate of a 2.6. That positivity rate keeps dropping, which means that this cases per day are going to continue to drop. That's great news for us in California. With every vaccination that goes out to a citizen, it's going to decrease the chance of somebody spreading this. So with that being said, that we're going to be in red here, probably not tomorrow, but, Sunday, Monday at the latest. And that means that schools can open. When we're in red, grades 7 through 12 are able to open. We have all the paperwork ready. We have busing ready. We put the staff on notice. We're generating letters right now to send out to our grades 4 to 8 families. What I'm going to ask is for board approval that when we return from spring break, that TK3 will return in the hybrid model that they've had for this week. On the 29th, when we return from break, 4 through 6 begin in a full hybrid model, and also grades 7 and 8. And the reason I had to separate it is because we can open 4 to 6 in purple because of our safety plan and all the documents that we filed with the state and the county. But the 7 and 8 hinges on we need to be in red. And I'm very confident that we'll be in red on March 29th, given the 2 million doses in the HPI-1 and our positivity rate dropping and where our rate is at, how many numbers per 100,000. We'd have to go beyond 10 to not be eligible, and I just don't see that happening. So once again, going to change this recommendation. I'm optimistic that this one will stick, that once we return from break on March 29th, let's bring back TK through 8 in a hybrid model, AM, PM. And this is an action item that will need board approval, and then pending your approval, we will go full steam ahead in notifying families tomorrow, making it official with our staff and transportation, food services, and we can plan on a full return the day we come back from spring break.
All right. Again, Harvey, I'm going to commend you on how good you have been following all these numbers, and all of our staff, because I know that at times it feels like or looks like we're yo-yoing back and forth, but I think that you've done such a great job paying such close attention to the neighbors. We've been like you say all the time, there is no right answer. This is completely unprecedented what we're going through, and just how close you've been monitoring it, and what's the word I'm trying to say? Just, it's nice that we're able to make these decisions and that we're not yo-yoing back and forth. It's because we're following the numbers, which is what we need to do. And you have done such a great job of just staying right on top of that through this whole year.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised hybrid learning reopening timeline.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, 5 ayes. It passes. And now I lost my agenda. Here we are. Okay, that brings us to our final item, which is discuss and approve Superintendent Yurkovich's salary effective July 1st, 2021 and thereafter.
So part of this is approval of the contract. And in the superintendent's contract, it's an annual evaluation, which we've done. One thing that I'm learning in my learning curve is I have to bring it back to the board every year to re-up it, to keep it at that 3-year term. That's something that's not happened. Our attorney is keeper of the contract. So he's saying that, you've had positive evaluations thus far. We're going to move the date up to the 2024 of what it should be. With the approval of the contract, there's also discussion of salary increase in open session. That's per ed code. That needs to happen. One other thing that we're learning right now is a red line document showing the changes doesn't do so well in black and white. So it's a learning curve on that part as well. So what I would ask is if we have any discussion regarding the contract or any questions regarding the contract, it's staying structurally the same. I would ask that the board consider approval of the superintendent contract. So I have a job after January 30th of this year, and I'd really love to stay. And we'll forego discussing salary at this point and save that for a later date. Are there any questions or discussion regarding the superintendent contract?
So do we have a motion to approve that?
I'll move approval of.
Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion from.
You want me to state the whole motion?
No, we got it. So do we have a
All right.
second?
Harvey's contract.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, 5 ayes, motion passes. Do we have any suggestions for future agenda items?
Are we going to be able to meet in person if we get into
Oh,
the
if we
red
bring
tier?
the kids back, I think.
You know, there is some guidance that's coming out right now about meeting in person. I'll be able to get that out to you in a board update. Right now, the recommendation is meet virtually if you can. I think that, we can, but I also know too that we're all looking forward to getting back to meeting in person. We are all looking forward to that. And I can't wait to do that as well. So I will provide you more guidance this Friday in a board update regarding what needs to be done to meet in person, and that's in anticipation of our county going into red tier here really soon.
Okay.
So
I also know they just released those new guidelines for people who are vaccinated can.
Right. And I know there's certain aspects that say you don't have to wear a mask if you're in the room with other people who are vaccinated, but we will be wearing masks in the Knightson School District for the foreseeable future. Our MOUs and our safety plan mandated safe thing to do. But as we get more prevalent, more prevalence of the vaccine out in our society, hopefully we'll be able to relieve these masking restrictions. But I'll have more guidance and updates for the board about meeting in person meetings here this Friday, and then I can also share those out with our staff and community as well. Because I just want to be very clear. I don't want people to think that, hey, well, they're done meeting online. It's just we moved back to our in-person format.
Right.
So.
Okay. I'm adjourning the meeting at 7:41.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank
See
you.
all
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Enjoy spring break.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Take care.